I think what we just need to take note of is that the crux of this issue is a constitutional issue. So by nature, it is a legal issue. So our constitution provides several lawful and constructive avenues through which citizens, including us here today, including young people particularly, because this bill significantly impacts our future, can engage in a constitutional reform process. First and foremost, like I rightfully said before, we are supposed to say that um, we are supposed to we're supposed to ensure that citizens' voices are heard concerning this issue. So ideally, the whole process was supposed to start with public consultation to ensure that we are amending what the citizens want, not for select individuals to sit somewhere and discuss key instruments, what they want to enact and change. For like I said, as a youth leader, we are lobbying for the youth bill. That's something that we want to be enacted as young people, not to give parliament, not to disband the Zimbabwe Gender Commission, amongst other key things that the constitution is intending to change. Secondly, um, we start off, like I said, firstly with public consultations. That's something that we should start with. Also, civic engagement is also essential. Like what we're doing here today, we're engaging in dialogue and constructive advocacy to ensure that when we are eventually going to give out our concerns, if they are taken into consideration, we are speaking with the uniform voice, not to speak from a disenfranchised voice. For as it stands currently in Zimbabwe, we do not have a stronghold opposition that can actually advocate for all of these changes. So if you go into the streets today, different people have got different perspectives. Some are nitpicking certain areas they want, because it now seems like politics of this day and age, it now then is following the law. So it seems like politicians argue, they sit down and they plan what they want to plan, and they want to ensure that the laws follow whatever they've planned. But if we go back to the root of constitutional law, as I learned in constitutional law with Professor Maduku, constitution should follow the will of the people. And then secondly, we should have once more constitutional lobbying. So we have to take it to the highest court in Zimbabwe, the constitutional court. As citizens, we are allowed to have our representation under public interest. For this bill is significantly going to affect us. So we will exhaust all available legal avenues to ensure that our rights are heard. For as young people, constructive engagement is not just making noise, going in the streets and just shouting and shouting. Constructive youth engagement should be peaceful, informed, and solutions oriented. So as young people, we should speak with the consensus voice to ensure that the youth that represent us, for in Zimbabwe, they say that a youth is 18 to 35. So we should not just have 35-year-olds, 30-year-olds just saying, as young people, we are for the bill. No, 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 no. We should sit down with the youths. And the only way we can sit down with the youth is engaging, like I said, the referendum to be allowed to vote and say, are we for or against the bill? Just like what happens in developed countries where we are alleging that we want to emulate from what they do in Britain and South Africa and the likes. Young people are given a voice to say, and currently, as it stands, there are very few discussions around this bill with young people, they are disenfranchised, and we will get to a point where young people will eventually not even end up even voting for these MPs that want to be given power, because it's going to be like, what's the point? So just to then buttress my argument, we are basically saying the first and foremost thing is we'll take it to the highest court, which is the constitutional court. Secondly, let's engage in dialogue as civic organizations. For like we said, rightfully said, let's speak with a united voice to ensure that we are speaking with the consensus, to ensure that the people that will go then and represent us will not just speak from their own beneficial angle. Because as it stands in Zimbabwe, people are speaking from a point of hunger to say, how is this going to benefit me? People are playing sort of with people's futures here. Because as most people in Zimbabwe would assume, the constitution as now, some people ended up even hearing about the constitution right now that people are talking about it. I finally got to understand about constitutional law when I got to law school. So we need to go into grassroots communities and tell people this is what's happening. Are we for or are we against it? For if this bill is to be passed, it's going to have ramifications for each and every person. For like I rightfully said before, as it stands with the current constitution, our rights that were given to us in 2013 are not being fully recognized. Now you want to take away certain aspects of those same rights that we're still lobbying for them to become better. For me, that does not make sense. So, firstly, we will exhaust the legal avenues and eventually the other avenues. So, that's my take on that.